Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I'm unboxing the Lenovo ThinkPad Z16 Gen 2 for 2023. Now, this particular build that Lenovo furnished for review retails for roughly $3,800 US. I'll include a link in the description for those of you interested in purchasing one. And the reason that it's so expensive is that this is the highest spec configuration of this machine, to my knowledge. So don't take this to be the average price of getting a Z16 Gen 2. Another thing I want to point out, I scoured the internet and it doesn't seem like anyone else has covered this yet, at least in a video format, or really, for that matter, in a written format so much. So this may very well be the first unboxing on the internet. If so, great. If not, I'll live, and so will all of you, but I just wanted to point that out. So what makes the Z16 Gen 2 so special? Well, first and foremost, 4 pounds, but that doesn't mean they have skimped on any of the internal specifications. In addition to that, 15 hours of battery life. And I know that because the previous generation actually was able to accomplish that, so I know that this isn't just a talking point, but a real-world expectation. So let's talk about the specifications, because you might be expecting something underwhelming, but I'm actually pretty impressed. We've got an AMD Ryzen 9 7940HS processor, essentially steering the ship, complemented by a Radeon RX 6550M GPU. This is the only model, by the way, with a discrete GPU option. If you go for the smaller Z13, there is no discrete option there. So 4 gigs of DDR6 VRAM, just to give extra headroom to you creative mobile professionals that actually need it for running things like AutoCAD, Revit, any rendering you might need. This will give you that extra boost in performance. 64 gigs of DDR5 RAM, clocked at 6400 megahertz. By the way, that is soldered to the board. All of these models, the RAM is soldered. Keep that in mind. We have a 1 terabyte Gen 4 NVMe SSD. We also have, and this is another great element of this machine that I know I'm going to love, a 16-inch 3840 by 2400 res display. It is an OLED panel, touchscreen, anti-reflective, anti-smudge, 400 nits of brightness, and 100% DCI P3. So you're going to get a color-accurate OLED touchscreen, 60 hertz refresh rate. It really checks just about every box on the planet unless you're looking to game. We have a full HD webcam. It is Windows Hello capable or compatible because it does have infrared, fingerprint scanner, of course Wi-Fi 6E, Bluetooth 5.1, and a 1-year warranty. So let's get this thing out of the box. Remember, 15 hours of battery life. The only other PC laptop that competes with this from a battery life perspective would be the LG Gram. And, well, you know, I wouldn't put that in the same conversation with anything coming from Lenovo. I do like LG as a manufacturer, but when it comes to laptops, they just do not have a footprint that gives me confidence. That doesn't mean they don't make a nice machine. They absolutely do. But this, you know, to be a 16-inch machine with all of these specifications, and as you're noticing with the packaging, this machine is all about sustainability, as is the 13-inch model and the previous generation. This particular machine is built out of predominantly recycled aluminum. The 13-inch model has a flaxseed lid. They abandoned, you know, the design language from the previous generation, but I really like what Lenovo's doing here, because as I struggle to get the power brick out, that's because of me, not because of the packaging. They really have basically made themselves aware of the fact that mobile professionals do want something lightweight but competent, and that's what this machine seems to represent, between having one of the best processors you can have in a thin and light machine, and we now finally have USB 4 across the board. So that means just because you're going with AMD, you are not giving up I/O, and that I absolutely adore. We've got what is a 135 watt power adapter, but of course, you know, this is Type-C, so, you know, pretty much you could use any 140 watt power brick, at least I am assuming. I will test that because this is fairly large for a 135. I have seen smaller ones, but it's not that, I would say it's about average. But again, because we've got USB 4, it means that, 40 gigabit throughput on this machine, and that's exactly what you want to see as a mobile professional. So really, one of the other appealing things about this, from what I've seen, is that it's a beautiful machine. So let's see if it lives up to what I just stated, and I think that it will. So there it is. I would say it might be a little over 4 pounds. I'm not exactly sure on that. Let's go ahead and get the packaging out of the way. And this is a review unit, as I mentioned before, so it looks like whoever had it last did beat it up a little bit, but, I'll clean it up after I spend some time, well, after this video is over. I'm not going to spend some time with it while it's dirty. But the design language here I absolutely love. I think this is the generation Lenovo's going towards with all of their latest and greatest machines, and it's just really, really nice. So starting with the left side, you can see we've got our charging port, and as I mentioned, these are USB 4 ports right here. Those are full functioning USB 4, so best in class performance, just like you would get out of a Thunderbolt experience. I love it. This is what I've been waiting for with AMD. We then have a full-size SD card slot, really nice design, very industrial, kind of reminds me of tablet, but with the polish and curved corners that you really want to see on modern machines like this. Coming around to the right side, we have our power button, our headphone microphone combo jack, another Type-C port. This one is not USB 4, and then our Kensington lock. That's pretty much it. Ventilation on the bottom. Front, lid lip there with what I believe is some additional microphones, and that's pretty much it. Very clean looking machine. Let's go ahead and open it up. One-handed, no problem. I like the keyboard deck a lot. That I can tell you right off the bat. Really nice, a very sharp looking machine. I mean, this is just really, really nice. The trackpad certainly feels like glass, but I'm not sure on that. The keyboard looks the part of a ThinkPad. No numerical keypad if you weren't aware of that, but not a big deal. We still have our pointer, and keyboard feels good. Feels like 1.5 millimeters of key travel, so I'm not going to complain about that. Now, the screen, I said anti-reflective, but it is not a matte finish, so keep that in mind. I'm going to go ahead and try to power this on right now. And hopefully we have enough power. Yep, it looks like we do. The keyboard, the backlighting did kick on. And again, this is really going to be one of those machines that competes directly with the ThinkPad P1 Gen 6. A really, really nice machine, one of my favorites right now. See if this is still powering on. I may need to plug it in, so let's just do that. And to just prove my point, I have right here a USB 4 cable connected to a power delivery 3.1 source. Let's go ahead and plug that in and just show that, well, you can travel like that, and you don't have to bring the brick, which is something I really appreciate. So now we're powering up properly, and let's just see if this goes. This does not go 180 degrees. That is as far as the display goes back. Speakers here on the side of the machine, the webcam right there, top center. Go ahead, bring that into frame. It's just a really nice machine, and wow, the display is gorgeous. Remember, it is a touch screen. This is a really, really nice machine. So the first thing I can tell you is that it's a beautiful piece of hardware. You don't hear me say that very often, but it's been tested, with Lenovo's military spec, testing process. So very an arduous testing process that it goes through. And let me get a little bit wider here so that hopefully I'm able to get a little bit wider here so that you can see a little bit more on here. Excuse the shake on this as I do this. Gonna get this a little wider, and this way I could fit a little bit more into the shot. We are pulling a charge from my power delivery 3.1 source. showing 94% right now, so we don't need this. Let me go ahead and disconnect this because maybe we will get an actual battery life estimate out of this. But again, this is just a really, really nice machine, and I'm looking forward to directly comparing this again to that ThinkPad P1 Gen 6 because in my mind, those are the two thin and light champs in terms of specifications. But remember, that machine sports an RTX 4080. It's an Intel build. It is almost the polar opposite of this in that it's not going to be able to deliver the 15 hours of battery life. It has completely different styling, which is more along the lines of a traditional ThinkPad with a modern touch or modern flair. This, in my opinion, is more of a ThinkPad reimagined, as was the previous generation, and this year just building on it even more with that internal spec bump. So we've got a great Ryzen 9 processor. I would say a more than adequate GPU added to the mix, which in a machine like this, you may not expect it. And the fact that we have it on a business machine, again, if you're an architect, if you are in any form of design, if you work in CAD, developing, creating things, this is going to be the type of machine you will absolutely love because it's going to give you the performance you need and then battery life you don't expect. And again, the previous generation did dole out the 15 hours of battery life, so I'm expecting that to be real here too, but again, better performance across the board with the new CPU-GPU combo. You can get this without the discrete GPU. Of course, that will save you money. You can get it with less RAM. This is the powerhouse build for anyone who's looking for the zero compromise experience. So looking forward to testing this more and really just giving all of you, well, as much feedback as I possibly can. You'll also have a different view. Don't worry. This is the top down, but I can assure you when I get to reviewing it, you're going to get a traditional point of view from my eyes to the machine. But I'm digging it, folks. Really just a nice machine through and through. Design is excellent. Really slim. I mean, it is just, again, as a mobile professional who wouldn't want to see any corners cut and needs this to be able to do more than just general productivity, that's exactly what the Z16 Gen 2, especially with this discrete GPU, is going to deliver. And then, if you want the touchscreen OLED, for that color fidelity, I highly recommend it. It is absolutely gorgeous. So really like this machine. You can see the ThinkPad eye there. The dot is glowing while the machine is sleeping. And really, because we have USB 4 now, any complaints that I historically had about AMD builds missing that I/O throughput, it's an even playing field now, almost. So that is a really big deal. And USB 4 is generally a lot less costly. Of course, it's also bringing Thunderbolt pricing down in terms of accessories and docks. But don't think because this isn't a Thunderbolt driven machine, you won't be able to get some great docks, because USB 4 is a standard and more manufacturers are building docks for it. So really nice machine. Stay tuned for an update, full review, of course, and comparison again to that ThinkPad P1 Gen 6, because really I can't see any other machine that directly competes with this. And from a battery life standpoint, if this, can get more than 15 hours or even just stays pat at 15, we are closing the gap effectively on Apple, which of course the M3 MacBook Pros do have the best battery life in the business. They're rated at 15. A lot of reviewers say they're able to get 18. I don't review Apple products. Who knows? That may change one day. But for now, the fact that, in my opinion, the only true advantage that Apple has is battery life and performance on battery. The fact that AMD is essentially knocking on the door now, Apple's going to have to find some new tricks if this machine really can pull off that battery life with a discrete GPU and a 4K touchscreen OLED, all at roughly £4, and a 16-inch display with a 16:10 aspect ratio that I adore. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them at that like button. And as usual, please feel free to subscribe, and please stay safe. Later.